This is new here. They're talking about in the City Journal, her campaign being totally on the ropes. Voters aren't buying this. They're not interested in the Equinox thing that she just did. They don't see that as a win for them. And you go out throughout the state of New York and you actually see a very different environment than you do in New York City. And I know this, I've traveled throughout Western New York actually. I have family from there and I've lived in New York City. So I get this sort of stark difference. And I think, as you heard Joe Scarborough say earlier, what you're starting to see is a lot of these liberal places, historically liberal places, are starting to change. You look at these numbers right there, right? Attorney General Letitia James. Everybody's talking about Chuck Schumer being under fire. Everybody's talking about this. By the way, John Luna, thank you. Thank you so much. My goodness, you guys are just insanely generous today. I really appreciate it. He loves the stream. And Sherry Gates, I'm looking for Sherry here. I'm just trying to see if I can see her. Thank you again. So appreciate it. I don't know. Look at this. Look at how weird this is. If you look, guys, I'm trying to put John's statement on. That's gonna have to be some work in the downtime of the Trish Regan show. We got to figure out how to get those comments on without them being all over the screen like that. Anyway, you see these numbers, right? Okay, 40% favorable, 33% unfavorable. Voters are over her. This is a big deal. Part of it is due to some of the immigration issues. CBS News actually just came out with a poll on this one, and overwhelmingly, it's very interesting, especially in light of some of the things that we're seeing happen in LA. Just unfortunate, tragic stuff. By the way, the federal government has a lot of power, right? Have we not talked about that at length? Constitutionally speaking, supremacy clause, naturalization, you name it, the commerce clause. And so I suspect that they're Karen Bass and Gavin, they're really in for some challenging times out in Los Angeles. But if you look at New York, for example, you're seeing a similar kind of feeling about this 79% backing the deportation of immigrants that have been convicted of a crime. And Letitia's not there. Like, that is not what she stands for. So how is she going to get elected in this kind of environment? I think that there's a real chance she doesn't. On top of which, she's out there spouting about Cuomo. She hates Andrew Cuomo. I don't like him either, but now I'm like, oh, maybe it's not all that bad if Letitia despises him so much. This article appearing in The Sun within the last week, Letitia James warns against Andrew Cuomo's run for president. Oh, not just mayor. He might be actually thinking real aspirationally. We'll see. I don't think he's going to get too far. But nonetheless, what you're seeing overall here is this momentum against her. Even colleagues coming out now and turning on Letitia James. This article making the rounds, I believe this is in Free Beacon this week, with colleagues saying that she abused her power. Why do I not disagree with that possibly being true? I mean, we know she abused her power vis-a-vis what she did with Donald Trump. This is a separate story altogether, but this is why at least Stefanik has said, look, we need to investigate this. She was out there trying to muscle her way into a situation for political purposes. We've seen over and over again that even now the media is coming out against her, with New York Magazine saying this was sort of nuts. She inexplicably chose to use the resources of her public office to respond to the investigation, right? So she's using the $10 million that she's going to get for this legal fund. I don't think she's going to get it because the GOP is like, no way. On top of which, she was out there making wildly inappropriate out-of-court statements that would ordinarily get a prosecutor fired. I mean, she was going after family members, the New York Magazine writes, family members, and trying to say she was going to take them down too, branding them as liars while they were testifying. And I remember Eric being so frustrated about this. He came on this show and spoke about it, and he also was on Newsmax. Let's listen in.
You have a corrupt attorney general who literally ran on the campaign promise of taking down my father. She goes, I'm going to go after Donald. I'm going to take down his family. I'm going to go after his children. I'm going to get, her exact quote, I'm going to get to the office of attorney general every day. I'm going to sue Donald Trump, and then I'm going to go home. I mean, she fundraised off of this nonsense. Like, this was her entire platform, going after my father. Then obviously she gets into office and she does exactly that. And you've got a crooked court and everything else. But actually, I think we're making a breakthrough with the judge. I think they're trying to realize there are no victims. First of all, my father's statements are undervalued, not overvalued. Second of all, she's going after banks. She's trying to protect banks that made hundreds of millions of dollars with Trump, meaning There were no aggrieved party. There were no defaults. There were no
you guys made
loan
money.
covenants.
You guys made money. That's why
we'd borrow money.
Yeah.
Go do a great project. Be very successful.
Jobs and homes.
Pay a tremendous amount of interest, and then pay the banks back in full. Like, we never had so much as a default. No one. So we're sitting there saying, is there a victim in this? I mean, you're suing us and there's no victim, but Carla, it's nonsense. The DOJ has told Letitia James to make my father's life hell, to keep him tied up in a courtroom, to cost him tens and tens of millions of dollars, to distract him.
Yeah.
He actually wasn't making progress at the time. You thought he was making progress. No, you didn't make any progress, unfortunately, because you had a very biased judge. And you stacked those two things up against Donald Trump, and it was significant. I mean, they were trying to bankrupt him. Let's face it, they wanted him in jail. They got the mugshot, which now he put right outside the Oval Office. That's great, right? And they wanted to bankrupt him to the point where they wanted to take his assets. Letitia James said it, ironically, on, wait for it, ABC News, which is facing the FCC investigation, which just had to suspend its reporter for his hateful comments on social media.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm wondering if you might have to sell a few of your assets, right, Letitia? I wonder how much you can get for this house. You might need the money. I mean, you may just. Because otherwise you're facing 30 years, right? And you got that expensive attorney that used to work for Hunter Biden. He's got to cost plenty. You're facing this. If you can't get the money to pay him, think he'll take you on pro bono? I'm not sure he's going to take you on pro bono. I really don't. And you're facing a lot of trouble. A lot, shall we say, right about now. You know who else is facing trouble? What is it? Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams is in huge trouble. Her party doesn't like her, kind of like Letitia right now. Party doesn't like her. And now, it turns out there's another nonprofit that is in a bit of hot water. Subscribe to the show if you haven't already. It's really, really important. We are climbing. Look at that. We were in top 100 last week. And I'm hoping we get to 1 million subs. I'm really hoping this summer, right? Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Make sure you subscribe, share, like. Quick shout out to one of our sponsors before I get to the Stacey Abrams story, patriotmobile.com/Trish. Call 972-PATRIOT to join us at Patriot Mobile today. You get a free month for those that are switching over. And guess what? You get to keep your cell phone number, all that good stuff. Wonderful company that supports patriots like you, like me, like this show. Just a great company, looking out for veterans, looking out for our Constitution. So why not put your money where your mouth is, right? When you think of all the places where you can spend money, and certainly you do on your cell phone each month, this one actually cares about some of the same things you do. And that's why we like them. And we appreciate all their sponsorship here on the show. So show them a little love. Go to patriotmobile.com/Trish. Sign up, call them 972-PATRIOT today.